Crusader Kings 2 is a great game, but the bar to entry is pretty high owing to its complicated control interface. Here I try my hand at a full and comprehensive overview of the buttons and controls, and some basics on how and why to use them. It's a lead-in to a Let's Play video, so if you think you'd prefer a watch and see how I play and explain, go ahead and watch the next video in this series and skip this one. Hello! I'm going to talk a little bit about my observations about the game Crusader Kings 2. It's a game about the Middle Ages, about being a ruler in the Middle Ages, about managing a kingdom, a dynasty, and attempting to survive from 1066 to 1453, a span of close to 400 years. It's a very complicated game. The tutorials in the game are not very good, and I found that if you just take about 15-20 minutes just sitting with somebody, looking at the mechanics of the game and some of the parts of the game that are a little bit less well understood, your time will be a lot more enjoyable. So this is what you'll be presented with when you come into the game and you fire it up. I'm going to start generally speaking, I'll start up in the upper left-hand corner, and then I'm going to come around in a clockwise way and sort of talk about what each of the things are here. So basically you've got a series of bookmark dates here. These are historically interesting times. These are start game scenarios you can play with. You've got some save games up here. If you've played the game, you'll have your autosaves, last 3 autosaves here, and then if you save the game at various points, you'll have those as well. Interesting characters during this particular scenario. These 3 right here. If you choose a different scenario, you will get some interesting suggested characters to play during those scenarios. Basically, the big rulers. They're going to be doing the big things during those times. So coming up here to the middle here, you see that there's a date, and you can change the time if you want to change the time forward and back. I'm going to kick that on back. September 1066. And I think you can do this as well. Look at that, 1166, 1266, 1337. You can see that the boundaries of the countries are changing rather radically. So here you've got different filters to look at the map. So right now we're just looking at the terrain. We can click on independent realms. We can see all the different independent countries. These basically are countries that are kings or independent dukedoms. For example, this is an independent dukedom here, the Duchy of Brittany. France at this time, at the start of the game, is a kingdom all itself. England, Scotland. Ireland is not a kingdom. A variety of counts, all fighting to see who's going to be king, and so on. So if you want to look at counts, these are all the counts, all the different county level. A count is basically a person who rules one county, like that, or here. Next up is dukes. They're just below kings. They're between a count and a king. So this duke commands all of the counts inside this area here, the Duchy of Toulouse, or the Duchy of Aquitaine, or Poitou. Brittany, as we said before. Back to kings. This is only kings, different than independent countries or independent units there. And then we can take a look at religions. So, all Catholic here, Orthodoxy making its way up into Rus, Sunni, Shia, Miaphysite, which is a Christian, sort of a Christian heresy, Norse religions. I'm not going to try and pronounce this. And cultures. So you can see the different cultures. Now, same color is not foreign to each other. So all of this is basically the Iberian culture here. Basque culture is sort of by itself, but more aligned with Occitan and Frankish culture. Occitan, Frankish, Norman, Italian, all sort of form a block. They're not hostile to each other culturally. Germans are hostile to Frankish, in Italian, Bohemian, Pomeranian, and so on. So you can essentially understand the sort of cultures that are there, and you might understand the possibility of hostility occurring across cultures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Dukes filter. I think the Dukes is where it's at for a good start game. Kings are a little far along, in my opinion. You get a lot of the action that is good about this game when you play a Duke. I'm going to select my favorite Duke for now. Right now, I've been playing a lot in this one, Aquitaine. So if you take a look over here to the right, as I said, we're going to promise to come around clockwise here. You can see this is the picture of the ruler, Duke Guillaume VIII of Aquitaine. This is the liege of this ruler. So this is the king above this duke, Philippe of France, 14 years old, opinion of me -8. Basically 0 is, you know, the middle, and 8 is slightly hostile. My opinion is I'm considerably more hostile to him, and we both share the same religious head, Pope Alexander II, head of the Catholic Church. This will show the difficulty, basically, of this particular character. Not terribly difficult. Hard, but not terribly difficult. The Duchy of Aquitaine, a vassal of France. His culture is Occitan. His religion is Catholic. This is the symbol of his shield. You can press on this. It doesn't do it in this one, but normally, a lot of times if you press on the shield, it'll highlight the area that it is. You can go into this and design the ruler. So what you can do is you can determine the picture, all the features. Basically make him look the way you want, you know, for your own interest or vanity. And then coat of arms. You can go in and mess around with the coat of arms. And then attributes. Well, what you can do is, if you go in here and you start working on it, you start with age 16. That gives you a long reign up in front of you. The more you give him, the more years you take, which means you have a shorter reign because he'll die. I'm not going to mess around a great deal with this, but just to show you the principle of the thing here. You can change the name, you can change the dynasty name. That's basically your character's last name. You can get in here to the traits, and you can begin to add some traits here. So here are some things. Okay, so if you want your character to be a lunatic, it will take 42 years off of your... So you can add 42 years of traits, and then you can take this negative trait and you can use it to come down. Great pox tend to die within, you know, a couple of years. Leper, so on and so forth. So, Crusader adds 29 years to your life. It's considered to be a good trait because people like you, attractive. Stutter, interestingly, will add 1. I don't know why. Makes no sense to me. Genius is a trait that adds a great deal to each of your characteristics. As you see, it adds 30, right? And then you've got 30 points of traits, with each trait getting +5. So there's no cheating there. You can't use genius to get around the age difference there. So anyway, some of the traits are pretty hilarious. Imbecile and inbred, especially when you get them in your character randomly. But all of these traits are traits that you can get as well while playing the game. So it's not necessary really to put them in your character to start with. So I'm going to hit cancel on that. So okay, this is the list of your vassals. So these are all of the vassals that are underneath you and serve you directly. So Prince Bishop, a count, various counts. Okay, and each of these counts is in charge of land on the map. All right, so if we're ready to go and play, we just hit the play button right here, and we'll start the game. 15 September 1066. So now, here we have, starting up in the upper left-hand corner, your portrait the Duchy of Aquitaine, like I said. When you press it, it'll show you where it is. You can also, in the lower right-hand corner, you can press Independent Realms, actually, and then de jure duchies. And then that will show you the various duchies that are recognized by culture and law to be independent units. The idea is that if somebody else owns a part of a de jure duchy and you're the duke of, and somebody else holds a county in that duke, you can go fight them and take it. So it's useful as a political and legal term. So you can see all of my counties here: Bordeaux, Agen, Périgord, Angoulême, La Marche, Limousin, Auvergne, Bourbon. These are all, that's my territory there. So shows my vassals, same deal here. I can click on each of these right here and it'll go to it and it'll show the picture of the person who's in charge of it. I can click here, I can see them, I can see their traits, I can see what they think of me, I can see why they think that. So here I can see that he doesn't like the fact that I have a female heir, doesn't like the fact that I've only been reigning for a short period of time. He does like the fact that I've got Gavelkind succession, which is a type of succession that splits territory out among my heirs instead of giving it all to the oldest. He doesn't like that I'm a foreigner. He is Frankish and I am Occitan. So what I said before about the foreigner, I guess doesn't matter, but it's greater if there's a larger difference. I'm slothful, so he doesn't like slothful, but he is content, so generally speaking he's good to go. So I can go back to that right there, and then I can go through and I can look at all of them if I want. There's an easier way to look at it as well. Click on your portrait and it'll give your character sheet here and show some of the things we already know. This is the king. This is our heir, which is our daughter. Me, my wife, the titles that I have. I'm the Duke of Aquitaine. I'm also the Duke of Gascogne and also the Duke of Poitou. I also have in my personal holdings the County of Bordeaux, the County of Santon, and the County of Poitiers. So I've got 3 duchies and 3 counties within those duchies. These are the characteristics: diplomacy, which aids your relations with other people in the game; your martial ability, which aids your ability to fight; stewardship, which allows you to control larger political, basically your domain, which is the number of holdings you have, counties, 1, 2, 3. I have 3. Up here in the upper right hand corner it says 3 of 3. That's as big as I can control well. I can exceed that if I'm willing to accept some trouble. Both my vassals won't like it, and I lose more than I gain by exceeding it, to be honest. So this is intrigue. So this is my ability to do spycraft and skullduggery and plot and treachery and that kind of thing. So he's a pretty tricky guy. And then this is basically my learning, so my scholarship. So this character is not a particularly sharp tool here, but he's helped out by his wife and also by his counselors to get these numbers. So between the king and his counselors, these are the actual characteristics. Pretty good. Quite good in intrigue. Okay, pretty good in martial. Okay in stewardship. Decent in diplomacy, in my opinion, and learning is so-so. You get half of your wife's characteristics, so 4, 4, 2, 5, and 0 added. So then you get all of your counselor, so it works out pretty good. So below here, you see that this character is a flamboyant schemer. He gets a little plus to his intrigue. He's cynical. He loses a little bit of piety every month. The church thinks of him a little bit less every month. He's gluttonous. So there are people who do not like fat people, and so it does reflect in your relations with people. He's deceitful. So he's good at the treachery, but not so good at diplomacy. And he's slothful, which means he just generally is not as good as he could be. And people notice it and don't like it. Now I mentioned piety. Piety is up here in the upper right-hand corner. You see up here there's this right here is prestige 30 and piety 15, and you can see how much he gets. So gets plus 0.12 piety per month and plus 2.81 prestige per month, and it shows why, because he's got 3 counties, 3 duchies, he's got some vassal baronies and some vassal counties underneath him, and then majesty in the basically the technology in the area. There's respect for rulers, and so he gets a little bump there to bump it up. These are also over here. This is his money. So all these numbers over here on the right hand side are also right here in the character sheet. So 64 units of gold, I'm getting 2.26 per month. 30 prestige, 2.81, 15 piety, 0.12, and then this is the total score. So when your character dies, these two numbers here, the prestige and the piety, are added together and added to this score, which is your dynasty's relevance and its power and reputation in history. So really, the point of the game is to get this number up as high as you can. If you want to look at the bottom line score, that's the score right here. That's how it's done. So let's look at some of the other things up here. This right here is basically your opinion of the king. This is the king's opinion of you. You generally want to keep that okay, unless you want the king coming after you. You've got some ambitions here. You can choose an ambition. It says here, pick an ambition. So you can pick an ambition. So all kinds of stuff. Do you want to become the Chancellor of France? If you've got a good high score, might not be a bad thing to try for. Maybe he wants to become the spy master of France. Okay, we'll pick that as an ambition. The king will come to know of this ambition, and if this score is high enough, or if he wants to improve relations with you, he may just choose to have you come on up and be the spy master. So this right here is conduct diplomacy. So I can do a couple things when I press that button. I can arrange marriages. I can betroth people to other people, children to other people. We do the old arranged marriages in the Middle Ages. You can educate a child, so I can pick a child in the, this is my niece, my daughter. I can have them taught by somebody. So I look for somebody who's got some good traits here. Okay, that's pretty good. Gray eminence, epitome of statesmanship. Okay, let's send them over. Oh, look. So if you do this, then they will like you better. Well, let's do that. So you can do that sort of thing through this button here. And down here you've got some tabs that show you your family, your vassals. You can hit these tabs and rank them up. So I want to organize by rank. Alright, so here's kind of the top dog in the, below me, and down, so you can easily see the people who are relevant. If you're looking, for example, for opinion, I use this a lot. You can basically tab it up to see who doesn't like you, and you can choose to do something about it. So let's look at this Hughes de Lusignan here guy. Let's take a look at him. So let's go to his character. Let's hit this here. So the reason why he doesn't like you is he desires the Duchy of Poitou. I'm slothful. He's envious. That's his problem, not mine. And he is zealous. He means he's really strong up on the church, and I am not. And he does not like me for being different from him. So there's not a lot that I can really do for him. But I've got 64 gold over here. So let me right-click on him, and let's see what we can do. Well, I've got a variety of choices here. So I can, let's see, I can do award honorary title. Select an honorary title to grant to Count Hughes. Well, let's make him cupbearer. So poisoning is always a danger, so being entrusted with serving drinks is a great honor. So it will make him like me more. Okay, well, it still doesn't like me very much. So let's send him a gift. If I send him a gift of 20 gold, he'll like me better by 18. Alright, still not great. Let's see here. So you can go through each of the characters, and you can do that. And a fair amount of the game is managing these relationships. I mean, going through and while nothing else is going on, is going through and checking these people out and you know, seeing to their needs. Well, there you go. Brought that back up into the green side, so he's pretty positive to me. So, okay. So these are the vassals. So you can go through here and you can do that with all these people. Now what you see here is, I'm going to explain kind of what you got here. So you get the picture, you've got the shield here, so you can see where it's at. Okay, so let me go back to my picture again. So you can click the shield there and go to where it's at and get that information. You've got the tax. So this is the tax that they pay you every year. He's not giving me any because he hates me. That's another reason to fix that. You want to make it so that there's a number here. You can hit the tab here and see the tax. So if the mayor of Bly liked you, he'd give you more. So he's kind of negative here, so you're getting less money. You're getting 92% of what you could get from him because he's -8. So it goes to -100. So you can figure out the percentage there. You know, 100 minus 8 is 92. So he's giving you a little bit less gold than he could. So here, the mayor of Chatterall, that's green. That's the full amount of tax that he would be giving you under your current kingdom laws. I'll show you about the laws a little bit later on. So bishops are a little different. Okay, bishops are in the church, obviously, and then this right here is the Pope. What the opinion of the Pope is. So he likes the Pope pretty good. You know, it's pretty normal there for him to be about like that level. And he doesn't like you. And so the only way you're going to get the bishop to give you the money instead of the Pope is to have him like you more than the Pope. So this is a bit of a long road to hoe, but, you know, over time you can do various things and it will slowly come up. Especially if you've been ruling for a long time. You know, you'll get a bonus for that as well as your respect and reputation grows. So coming on down, so we see here still not enough for various reasons. This guy really does like the Pope. Same here, and so on. So that shows you that tab. Now your court, these are just people who are hanging around in your court, and there are various people. This mayor is in your court. These children are in your court. Basically, this unattached woman is in your court. And you can use them for a variety of ways. You can marry them to people. For example, sometimes your vassals want to be married. They need to get your permission to do so. So it's up to you to take a look and see how you can, put pieces together to make things happen in the game. So same deal as before. We can look at their characters this way. We can see this here. Look at this. So, who is this person? Oh, your sister. What's this down here? Oh, so she has a weak claim on the Duchy of Aquitaine. So what that means is she's your sister, and she could be the Duke of Aquitaine under certain conditions. If she found somebody willing to press her claim against you, they could declare war on you and attempt to put her in charge of the Duchy of Aquitaine, that sort of thing. So she could attempt to plot to get it, and so on. So you can look at the characters and sort of see the danger or the opportunity that they present to you in the game. Allies. So these are, as you go through the game and you forge relationships, for example, as you marry into other dynasties, as you marry your children into other dynasties, and so on, you'll develop allies. And when you have them, they'll be in this, and you'll be able to take a look at how they think of you in a very easy way. And then abroad, this is any courtiers that are overseas. So, for example, if you send some children overseas to be educated in a foreign court, for whatever reason, it'll show here. So, it says here, the court mainly consists of various unlanded nobles, but also the counselors. That's right. So those, like this right here, this guy right here, is the spy master. He's your spy master. He's in your council of 5 advisors that are related to each of these traits. All right, so that's pretty lengthy. explanation here. If it's a character who's a historical character, generally speaking only at the beginning of the game, you can open it'll link you to the Wikipedia page. Oh, one last thing. So, this is your family. Family is everything in this game. So, let's go ahead and span this out here. Okay, so this is you. This was your brother. He's dead now. This is your sister. Oh, she's Kaiserin Anye of the Holy Roman Empire. So she is basically the Empress. Your sister is the Empress. Her son, or she was, her son, your nephew, is the Kaiser of the Holy Roman Empire. So, your brother had a little girl. All of these people are members of your dynasty. So as long as there's still somebody living in your dynasty, the game doesn't end. You just become the highest ranking member of your dynasty, or you become the person in your line. And then if they're all gone, I believe you hop over to another line. So it's a little funky that way. So that's that one there. Then we have your family tree. Okay, so this shows your ancestors, you, your spouse, and your children. It gives you an idea of who they are, and you can take a look at them. It's for other characters you can do that as well. So if you want to take a look at the genetics of a character, always important to pay a little bit of attention to that. So I can look at so this is his father. His father was a hunchback. Hunchbackism might show up in my descendants. The mother had no genetic problems. No problems there. No problems there. So you can exercise some diligence if you're being offered a spouse and you want to take a look at what the family history, whether the family tree forks or whether it just goes straight down and there's inbreeding involved. Very important, because once you have a problem like that, it's very difficult to correct it. And then you have the realm tree. Right, now this will show you at a glance your vassals, and you can see a lot of stuff here. Okay, so I'm here. This is Gihem. This is the king, and these are all the people underneath me. So let me get that all on one screen there. So here you see that I'm able to raise 36% of all the troops in the land. So I can basically raise 3 times as much as this guy. And as you see, going down the road here, you've got people who can barely raise any troops at all. This shows how many holdings they have in their domain. So 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1. So this shows the yearly income and then opinions. So basically you can use this as a very quick sort of way to look at your people here. Generally speaking, Duke Gihem is not really well liked. So he's going to have a bit of a hard road to hoe here, get himself squared away. But you can go down inside each of the and take a look at them as well. Yeah, you can have situations where these guys like you better than they like these guys, and then there's opportunities for messing up these guys' plans. You'll learn how to do that as you play and figure that out. But sometimes if you can work something out like that, it isn't necessary that all these guys like you as long as these guys like you. But this is a very easy way to take a look at all those relationships in one fell swoop. Okay, that's it for the character sheet. It's a fairly lengthy explanation. Okay, let's drive on here. Click that. So these are council, laws, technology, military, intrigue, factions, and religion. So these are basically the sort of the control panels for the kingdom. Basically your dukedom or kingdom or county or whatever it is that you're running. So here are the counselors, 5 counselors. Basically your Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Finance or Treasury, your National Security Advisor, and your I don't know, Office of Religious Affairs. So this is what they think of you. Got a bunch of counselors who don't like me very much. I can click the appoint button, and I can find out whether there's somebody better. So this is the skill that this person has, 13. It'll rank order them, automatically putting the top dogs at the top. So you can see that there's nobody better to do the job. He's got a 10, he's got a 13, he wins out. However, if you have a situation where, say, you've got a vassal who likes you a lot, he will, if you do fire him, he will like you less. But you have a vassal who's very important, it's very deathly important that he likes you more. Sometimes, especially if it shows over here, it says ambition, especially if it shows over here that he really wants to be in that position, sometimes it's good to just pick a guy who's a little not as good, but good enough, and throw him in there. It'll say what the skill is. So 13 is considered masterful, 16, 17. So all of these are extremely competent counselors. So no need to change any of them, though you can go through and see just in case. So I don't know why they keep popping it up right there like that. It's pretty close there. Spy Master 20, 18, pretty close there. And Court Chaplain 14 versus 11. So nothing odd going on there. Each of the counselors has some other buttons. So it says right here that this counselor is currently not forbidden to lead armies. If you want these counselors to be locked down into the office doing their job, you can press these buttons and they will never go off and lead armies. It's kind of handy because it'll keep them doing these jobs, whatever job it is that you do. So your Secretary of State, your Chancellor, can improve diplomatic relations, can fabricate claims. A claim is what you must have in order to go to war, or can sow dissent. So pop-up bubbles are useful for understanding, generally speaking, what they are, without getting into the real big mechanics. So let's take a look at the Chancellor here. I think right now, improving diplomatic relations, given that we have a real problem with our vassals, is probably a good idea. Let's find out who we want to try and improve relations with. So let's try the Count of Thouars. Now where is that at? The Count of Thouars. Right there, Count of Thouars. So go back to the Chancellor, click Improve Diplomatic Relations, and then click on the county where you want him to go. So he's going to go into Thouars and he's going to schmooze around and tell everybody what a great guy you are, and maybe he'll get somebody's ear. Alright, so next, Marshal. So he can suppress revolts. If you, for example, come down to these filters and you can see where areas are having problem with revolts, you can send him down to basically put the mailed fist down and tell people to shut up and don't rise up. You can have him train troops. So if you have a problem with how many troops you have, and you want some more soldiers, you can send him out to get some more troops. Or you can have him research military technology. You can send him into your capital, which is right here. This is your symbol. Right here, you see your symbol. This is where you have your capital. You can have him post into your capital and basically research military technology. Better armor, better weapons, better tactics, so on and so forth. Since we don't really have any big problems right now, I'm going to have him go ahead and post in to Bordeaux to research military technology. The steward has 3 functions as well. He can collect taxes. With the possibility of getting attacked, he can go try and squeeze out a little bit more tax. He can oversee construction of a building. So if you're building buildings, he can make it go faster. He can also find a master builder, or there might be a problem with he might screw things up. And then there's also research economy tech, so you can have a better understanding of finance, banking, merchant activity, and so on and so forth that can help you make more money later on down the road, but it's a very slow process. Technology is a very slow process. So for now, since I would like to get some money, I'm going to have him collect taxes in the capital. The spy master can either scheme, which is basically to keep vassals from trying to work against you, or to find out any plots of local nobles and stuff like that. So you can see right here he's got a pretty good chance of nobles coming in, encouraging nobles to come into your faction if you form a faction, for example, to try to claim independence from the king, or lower the authority of the crown to clamp down on his vassals, you, since you're a duke under a king. But there's a chance for a couple bad things to happen too there. Well, plot uncovered, for example, he's got a pretty good chance of finding some other character's plot. A lot of these plots are not really of interest to you, but they do provide an opportunity for you to imprison people. If they've got a lot of money, you might be able to squeeze it out of them, that sort of thing. So it's pretty useful to have him out there doing stuff. You have him build a spy network. Basically, if you do that, you have a better chance of conducting an assassination against any character in the county where you're doing it. Very handy if you're looking to do that. Or you can have him study technology. This is the one I like for the long game, actually. I generally like to do study technology, and I like to send him to a place where people are doing things better than I'm doing in my capital, and have him do that. So I'll show you how that works here real quick. I have to kind of get out of this and go to this. So this is Bordeaux. When I click on this, it pulls up this dialog here and shows the county. So here you've got military, economy, and culture. Now, you can see that there's a lot of information there. It's just, for my purposes, I just want to find out where I want to send this guy to go find out some stuff about how to do things better. So let's go to a different place. Let's go over here into Byzantium, the Byzantine Empire. Alright, well look at that. 8, 15, 16. Fair to say, they know a little bit more about the economy, culture, and military stuff than we do. They know even more in terms of military. So you can click around and you can find a place that you want to send your spy master to go spy. So I'm going to pick down here actually. So what you do is you select it, and all the green will show you all the places you can spy on technology. You can't spy on technology in your own area. You can't learn from yourself. Also, for whatever reason, all of these areas are closed off to you. I don't know what the reason would be for some of that, and it doesn't pop up and tell you either. So when you do that in a screen like that, just click on the county, pop him down there, and he's off to do his work. So back to okay. So the court chaplain, you can convert the populace. So if you want to, basically in this game, they're pretty non-PC about religious matters. You're Catholic. If you're Catholic, you want all your people to be Catholic, and you don't want people to be a different religion. That's just the way it worked in the Middle Ages. And if they are of a different religion, they don't like you. So generally speaking, you can use your court chaplain to keep things the way you want them. So as you see, there's a possibility of, it says here, county religion converted. So for example, if a county has decided to become Orthodox, or has decided to embrace a heresy, Catharism, or Waldensianism, or Lollardy, you can send your court chaplain down there to do it. Now, each of your vassals has a chaplain as well that's doing work automatically, however the AI chooses to do it. So about a 32% chance of finding somebody in the county, and if they're of a different religion, converting them. The heathens could attack the court chaplain, about 4% chance per year, and you could discover a heretic noble also. And heretic nobles are fun because if you have a noble or a vassal who's heretic, you can choose to either strip them of their title or require them to convert to your religion, depending on how you're feeling and what you need to do. You can research cultural technology, so you can basically learn, find a great philosopher or find a heretic, and it also increases your culture technology growth rate. But again, like I said, very slow game. And then here, this is a good one, improve religious relations. So if you have your bishops here and you want to improve your religious relations, what you can do is you can send them to the place where they're at. For example, this guy, Lop de Saint-Savin, is up here in Poitiers, right? And you can send him in there to improve religious relations, and he'll go around and he'll try to make Lop de Saint-Savin like you better, which could be handy for you. So what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to find one that's close, try to find one that's close, and see whether we can flip the switch there. Let's try that one. That's probably the best one to try, because he's kind of closest, even though he... Okay, put him in there, and he's off doing his work. Alright, next tab is laws here. So this shows the laws that are in effect in your duchy. And then this shows what's in this. If you click this, it'll show what's going on in France over you. So feudal levies, basically, you know, normal is straight on. They don't like you. They don't hate you for it. You know, you see here -5, +5, +10. So you get less when you raise up your armies and your vassals like you more, or you can ask for a lot. You know, everybody they got, everyone, yes, bring them in, but they don't like you when you do that. Taxation, you can see right now in this duchy, I don't ask my vassals to give me any money. I let them have their money so that they can basically run their areas, and I don't ask any money of them. I can raise it up a little bit, but they don't like me for it. -10, -20, and -30. There's an interesting mechanic here, because as you understand, they pay you if they like you, right? So if you make them not like you, you get here 20%, but they like you -20. So there's a law of diminishing returns that you have to understand, and you'll see, and you'll be able to, when you do this, you'll learn through experience sort of where the line is on that. But I would urge you not to get too aggressive on that, thinking that you're helping yourself. Small is pretty good. Small is pretty good, and I'm not going to do it right now because I've got a real public relations problem, and I don't need the extra load of that. I'd rather just not deal with that. City levies, same deal. So this is the soldiers that the cities will provide to you, and there's cities inside your inside each of these counties. City taxation, so there's the money, then the church, how many soldiers, and then how much taxes you get. So depending on how you want to modulate your relationships, you can change these. Can't change them very often. There's about a, I think there's about a 10-year gap. Once you change the law, you got to wait a while. So succession laws, you can change succession laws under certain conditions. So basically, you've got to, here I can't do this one. I can't do seniority or change these. I can't change how inheritance is done in my duchy right now. So this is my heir, my daughter. So after that, or these are pretenders. So I told you earlier about this nephew, okay, because he's in the dynasty. If I click on his portrait, he's a pretender. He doesn't have a claim, but he's a pretender. So he could be a threat at some point. And then my sister also, but she actually has a claim. So her husband, if he wanted to, could support her claim on the Duchy of Aquitaine, and the Holy Roman Empire could attack into France to attempt to press this claim. So interesting to see there, and you can understand a little bit about if these pretenders are powerful, you can have a problem. So that's it for the laws page for right now. Technology. This is entirely too complicated to really get into, but basically you start off not real good. It's 1066, not exactly the bright year of technology in human history. So, but these will raise up over time, and they'll come up very, very slowly. You'll get little advances. These bars will begin to move up, as you see here. Let me see if I can take a look here. So progress to the next level, 90%, but I think it had said you can set a focus, which means that you can make that what you really want to work on. So I'm going to focus on heavy armor. I'm going to focus on castle infrastructure, which means I want my castles to be able to be stronger. And I want to focus on majesty. Interesting. Okay, so what you can see here is you can see places where majesty is doing well. So you can see here that majesty has got 3 stars. Here it has 2. Here it has 1. In our own hometown of Bordeaux, 1, and 0 here. So generally speaking, what you want to do is your technology will spread out from your capital, and it will go out into your various other places. So that's all I've got on that one. I don't have a lot to say on that, to be honest. Military. This gets used a lot. It comes automatically by default to your army levies. A levy is a band of troops that you're able to bring up, to levy them, to levy the troops and bring them into service. So from your domain. Now a domain is your personal holding. These are your household troops. You don't make anybody mad by raising them up. You could raise them up all the time and have them stand around and just be ready to go. It will cost you money to do so. Money that will be reflected up here in monthly costs underneath your monthly balance up here on the right hand side up here. But you could raise them up and make nobody mad. When you raise up your vassals, they do get mad. Now, as you can see down here, you don't have, you've got raised, none. No troops are raised. These are unraised. That's basically what you got that you could raise, and this is the max total. This number is here because what will happen is your troops will get wounded and they'll be dead and they won't be replenished. So right now we're looking good in terms of what we have and what we could have. So down here you can see each of your vassals that provide you troops. You can see their opinion of you, and you can see what it is that they're going to give to you. He's not going to give you any troops. The reason why is he's holding them up because he's loyal to Pope Alexander II, not you. That's the relationship that existed between churchmen and rulers in the Middle Ages. So we got to work on that. So here, basically, because his opinion of you sucks, you only get 13 troops from this guy, 13 men-at-arms from this guy, because the opinion is low, and the law, which is that you saw in the law, only was for small levy or normal levy. So if you change that, obviously it'll change. And then underneath it shows the composition: 5 out of 5 light infantry, heavy infantry, and 2 archers. So at a glance, you can quickly look at that and see, wow, okay, a lot of red, right? So not so good. Could be more. We fix that relationship deal and you get more. And I've said about the relationships for a number of reasons, because that really is the core of the game, managing the relations. Okay, so this is the army levies. To raise up your troops, press this button, and they pop up where they are. So these are the 3 counties that are in my domain: Bordeaux, Santon, and Poitiers. Now, click on here. Bordeaux, Santon, Poitiers. All 3 joining each other. Very handy. Nice to have your domain close together, because when your vassals rebel against you and your troops are all spread out all over the place, they can be defeated piecemeal. So I can select them. I can right click, not left click, but right click. If I left click, I get this. If I right click, they start moving. If you go over the flag here, it will show when they will arrive. Here you'll see that this soldier will arrive in Santon 27 September. That's about 12 days from the current date. You see the date up in the upper right hand corner of the screen. This one will arrive 1 day later on the 28th. You can generally understand how long it takes to get someplace by the length of this hollow arrow. So to show you how this works, I'm going to go ahead and hit the space bar or unpause. You see this arrow right here, that's 1 speed. You can speed it up a little bit. You can see that the progress bars are working in these arrows. So you can understand how that works. Things are happening already. This is another Duke William the Bastard. He's going to be busy up in England here very shortly, 1066 and all. That's Duke William of Normandy. He's getting onto his boats and heading up into England right now, north of us, up here. Yep, there he is, right there. He's got his galleys all ready to go. Okay, so speed it up a little bit. Okay, now they're all together. 3, the army of Buckingham, army of Lyon, army of Martin. If I want them to go together, now we've got 1 unit. I can choose the commanders. When you click up here, it'll give you the top dogs in terms of the best generals. You can set the center, left flank, right flank. So all competent commanders up there now. So we got 165 light infantry, 408 heavy infantry, 42 light cavalry. Small little band of dudes. And this shows their general strength. It's not a very complicated. I guess tactical simulation. It's pretty rough. But there you go. So that's how that's done. So if I want to disband them, I just press this button, and away they go. If you disband them in enemy territory, basically what you're doing is you're far away from home, and you're basically saying, "Hey, you're on your own to get home." Not all of them will get home, so you want to always disband them in your territory. Doesn't have to be your domain. Doesn't have to be the places where you got them from. It just has to be some place that is inside your area. So it needs to be someplace in here. So if you go out and you fight, you need to come back and do it. Okay, so continuing on. Let's go to, this is vassals, mercenaries. If you have money, you can hire mercenary companies. Each of these is the commander of, shows the commander of the mercenary company. And then you have how much money it costs to get them to show up. They show up, and they'll show up in your capital, or if your capital is occupied, they'll show up near your capital, and they'll not be really ready to go. They're green bar next to the green bar here next to the deal here. Their morale will be quite low. It will raise up slowly. So after a couple of weeks, they will be ready to go. So while they are in that weak state, you need to protect them and not commit them into combat. This shows the composition of the unit. So without getting greatly into detail, I think you understand that heavy infantry is better than light infantry, that heavy cavalry is better than light cavalry. Archers in the game, it is reflected in the game. There is a phase of combat where archery occurs, then hand-to-hand combat. So a unit like this that has a lot of archers could be useful for the standpoint of winnowing down an enemy before you actually get into combat. So this one has a pretty fair number of heavy infantry, a pretty good number of archers, pretty balanced kind of unit there. You can even you can see that there are cheaper units and more expensive units. So it costs 95 gold to raise this one up, 1900. Obviously, if you pay more, you get a larger number of troops, but it's not always efficient to get the most expensive unit there. Sometimes you can hire a couple of cheap units and end up with more troops or a better situation. So you sort of pay attention to how that works. Here you can see monthly cost. So every month it's going to cost you 5.75 gold to keep the Irish band on the payroll. So very handy, very handy. You want to make sure that you don't ever not have the money to pay them, because they will turn on you. Then you have the Holy Orders tab. Later on in the game, the church will, when the crusading gets going, will begin to establish holy orders like the Teutons and the various holy orders of knighthood that you can hire using, upper right-hand corner, using piety. So instead of money, you pay piety. If you're a very pious person, then the church will send you the holy order, or will honor your request that the holy order come to assist you, but not to fight against Christians, only to fight against heathens. So if you're fighting against a crusade or a holy war against Muslims, or you're fighting a holy war against a heathen king, then you can use a holy order, but not to fight other Christians. So let's go to the fleet levies. So these are your ships. So you need ships to transport troops. So each ship will transport 100 troops. So I can click on it and then right-click on the body of water. Hit space to get out to water pretty quick. I'm going to hit space again to keep it from going. And then all you do is select the troops that you want to go. Come out here until you get the arrow. See how, hold on here. See how it goes away? So then you get the arrow. Right-click. And then these troops will head out to the ship. So it took about 5 days for these troops to kind of get out and get all loaded up on the ships. It's pretty quick, but not that quick. So then, while it's selected, you can right-click to a destination. Get the progress bar. So good news. So remember, I sent the Chancellor off to up in here to Thouars to basically work some public relations. So right now, Count Amory of Thouars hates me. Opinion of me -90. But he's going to help out. 40, so he'll be -50. Not great by any means, but at least it's not ragingly hostile. I'm just going to leave him in there to keep on working on him. Okay, so now these troops are here. I can select the troops, and then I can right-click on the place where I want them to go. You can see the boundary here. They can land in this county. If you come to this place, they can land in any of these counties: Santiago, Porto, Coimbra, or Lisbona. So, handy to understand. Okay, so this guy here has joined this faction, looking to change the way that the kings of France are selected. I'm not really interested in that right now. So, okay, this guy here is forming a couple of factions. He's got some things he wants people to join and do. Not interested right now. We'll get into that in a moment. Okay, so there you go. You've landed the troops in Coruña, in the Kingdom of Galicia. Now, in the Middle Ages, it was the law that if you were not at war and you wanted to pass some troops through a country, that you could do so. If there was a problem with, if there were problems of logistics and so on and so forth, yeah, then you could run into problems. But generally speaking, those aren't modeled, and you can move your troops through a friendly or a neutral territory at will. Now, as you can see, I'm going to hit pause here. As you can see, it takes considerably longer to move from land to land on foot. I'll speed it up a bit for illustration purposes. Hit pause. So now they're there. Move the ships over. So, you can see that it's considerably faster to hop up on the ships, come along the coast, and land than it is to walk the 100 or so miles to get to a place there. Now, so I'm going to illustrate the disbanding of troops. So, say I want to disband this unit. This is up here in the. It will show you, due to not being in friendly territory, only less than half, about half of the troops will be able to return home. No retinues will be disbanded. I'll get into retinues in a second. I don't want to do that. They're done with their R&R in Galicia. I want to bring them back home and get them on land. And get the ships back to port. Oh, well, here's some good news. So my spy master that I put down in the island of Kanea tells me that he's found some technology. So, he says the cavalry melee weapons progress in Bordeaux increases by 1. So let's go to the technology page here. Let me close that out there. So what he's saying is that we're going to get a little bump in cavalry melee weapons. So over here, this is going to pop up 1 increment. Maybe able to see it. Let's see. Yes, there it goes. Boom. Pops up 1. And that's basically how slow it goes. You see you have a bunch of different categories in each of the things, and only through slow slogging does mankind ever lurch forward. So, we've got all these troops over here. Now, let's go ahead and dismiss them. There's a couple different ways to do it. You can do like this, and then you can press this button, and they will dismiss. Or, you can go like this to this tab, and you can press dismiss, and then over to Army, and dismiss again, and they all disappear. So, a couple different ways to do it, however you choose to do it. So, now let's go to Retinues, the Retinues tab. Okay, these are basically a standing army. In the Middle Ages, they didn't keep standing armies. It was considered to be very expensive, very difficult to do. But in the game, if you're willing to spend the money, you can maintain a standing army. Very handy for a couple of reasons. Having a bunch of troops on hand that are ready to go gives you a great deal of flexibility. You can respond much more quickly to crises. They do cost money to stand up, but they don't cost money to keep standing up for whatever reason. That's just how it's modeled in the game. So once you spend the money, you've got those soldiers forever. Once they're damaged, it costs money to get them back up to the level, and you'll be obliged to spend the money to get them back up to full strength unless you dismiss them. So as you see here, there's a variety of different ways to different retinues here. So this is a retinue that has 400 heavy infantry and 100 archers. It costs 45 gold to stand up, and then it will cost money to fill. So you want to have a lot of money before you start really slogging around and doing these. Right now, it says that I'm able to have 858 soldiers in my retinue. Now, how this is figured out is there are some numbers we don't see in the game that says there's X number of people in the counties that I rule. And then it says, of those people, 859 of them are fit for service in a retinue. Realm manpower is 9,041. And then it says your technology recruitment level. So whatever that is, however that's figured, probably something to do with military technology and culture, gives you a little bit less than 1% of those people are going to be able to be pulled into a retinue. So 859 people. So right now I could. Oh, I can't. Interesting. Let's see what it says. Oh, okay. It says I can't. Can't do it. Won't let me do it. Cannot afford it. Oh, I don't have any money. So, right. When we get a little more money, we'll come back and take a look at this. Okay, so that's the military tab. Wanted to get into this exhaustively because it's useful. Here, this is also very useful as well. Say you get a situation where you don't want to lose money, and this basically is going to raise up the retinue 5% every month. So over the course of 20 months, it will go from being one person who's sort of the captain who begins going around hiring people. After 20 months, the retinue will be fully formed. This is 2.5%, so that would be 40 months. And then this is don't reinforce. So you can select these buttons to modulate whether you want to replenish your retinues or how quickly you want them to reach full strength based on, coming over here to the right, your income. So you can see right now, for whatever reason, oh, it's because I raised up all my ships and all my people. So I have to pay for it, and right now, so I'm losing a little bit of money, about 0.41 of a gold per month. It'll go away pretty quickly here. All right, so that's that. Let's go to the next one, intrigue. So you can choose to be involved in a plot. Click on that, and you'll see, wow, there's all kinds of dastardly shit I can do. I can revoke this guy's title. I can revoke this guy's title, or this guy's title. Whoa, I can plot to kill this guy, or this guy. What? Oh man, this is pretty crazy, right? Well, that's welcome to being the ruler of a medieval duchy. People did not behave themselves. So, if you want to do one of these, let's go ahead and plot to revoke the Prince Bishopric of Asian. So, this is the target, the guy we're going after. What we got is this plot power, 59%. What that means is, by myself, I'm fairly close to being capable of pulling this off. Basically, you got to be over about 80% to have a chance of it going off. Let's see if we can get some people to come in on this. It just says here, yeah. Well, no. No. Let's maybe go here. No. Hey! He wants to. Well, let's click on him. Right click on him. Let's go to diplomacy. Look, invite to plot. He says, yeah, he'll do it. This is pretty, honestly, this is pretty easygoing stuff, because this has none of the worry that you would have if you were actually plotting. If you were actually plotting, would not be a handy. This guy's not going to be wearing a handy thumbs up T-shirt, walking around the halls saying, "I'm willing to join your plot." No, you'd have to ask, and maybe he would, maybe he won't, maybe he'd tell the guy. Anyway, that mechanic is not really played out quite as well as I'd like it to. But we're going to invite this guy to the plot. Anybody else? Nope, he's the only one. But you can come here and take a look at the thumbs down and figure out why. Let's go up to a guy who's got, okay, 9% there. So if he was willing to come on, he'd add 9%. He's not willing to join the plot. Opinion of me is bad. Basically, everybody's reluctant to join a plot. They have to like you or have a reason to join the plot. His opinion of Prince Bishop Guillaume is 0. He's neutral to him. Don't like me, so he's not going to do it. Same there. Okay. Yep, same there. Same there. Some of them are interesting. Some of the reasons are interesting because they'll throw out some things like character is amoral. He's just a perverted, depraved guy who, Okay, he's not willing to join the plot. He likes me, and he's okay enough to not join a plot to revoke his, deal. He's got to be a little more hostile if he was going to actually do it. So anyway, but it'll give you the reason. And there are things you can do. So say somebody's really close, and there's, let's see if I can find one that's really close, like that likes me and doesn't like him. Okay, maybe. So I can right-click on the character. I don't have enough money. Oh, I got this. Okay, make him like me a little better. Mayor Albrecht. Okay. Still not enough. So, oh, okay, so hit pause again here. And so let him have a little while to think about it. And he says, yeah, we'll do it. So let me close this up. Close this. Go back to intrigue. And you'll see that because he joined our plot, he added some plot power to bring this up. So when this gets up to the point where you can do it, this will change to this green check here and allow you to select it and actually do it. So if you click on it, it'll do it. So don't click on it unless you're really ready to go, because either, depending on the plot power, the person could either say, well, you got me. You got way too many people who don't want me to be the Prince Bishop. I'll go quietly. Or you say, well, it's going to be war, and that could cause destabilizing effects in the kingdom. So be careful when you fire that thing off. So down here, you can see that there are some other. Things going on here. You can invite a holy man to court if willing to spend some piety. I've got 15 piety up here. If I'm willing to spend some piety, a possible court chaplain, somebody with some good learning ability, will show up. If I need another person at my court, for example, to give a title to or to give a job to, I can have somebody show up. Or if I need a lady to show up that can marry somebody, I can do that. Not necessary to do for yourself. If you want to get married, not necessary to do this, because you can as a ruler, typically you can find somebody, another ruler's child or something of that nature. We'll do it. Now these are seasonal. Hold a feast. Okay. So if you want to hold a feast, it's got to be November. And you have to have prestige of at least 100. So now look up in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see I've got 46 prestige, the number under the crown there, and it's March. Can't hold a feast. Hold a summer fair. I have to have some money. I've got the money. I'm not a prisoner. Not the right time of year though. Summer fair, not spring fair. Go on a grand hunt in the fall before you hold the feast. You can go on a hunt. You can also get gored by a boar, maimed, have a horse get killed and not react well to it and be called a coward. All kinds of adventurous stuff that can go on a grand hunt. Very interesting. Very interesting. And if you're not in good graces of the church, you can spend some money and buy an indulgence. So these are things you can do to correct things that are wrong in your personal situation. So I personally think that a lot of the game here, to the greatest extent you can, you should be hunting, holding fairs, and holding feasts. If you do that, I've had dukes that have done quite well just managing their relationships by that. The feast is good because if you do it well and you spend the money that you need to spend to get the entertainers and the food and everything, you'll get a very nice opinion bump. But you can have a difficult time getting your vassals to show up in the first place. If they don't like you, they're not going to come to your feast. So you sort of want to balance out when you do it to maximize the effect. You don't want to do it too soon, but sometimes you don't have an option, and you just need to get something going. Down here, there's nothing in these tabs. Threats would be any problems that you have. Prisoners would be anybody who's in your jails, and known plots will be any plots your spy master shows up and sees. We'll see that in a little while. Okay, factions. So we've had the game going for just a little while. It's less than a year. And you see that we have some factions in the Kingdom of France. So these are other rulers. Duke Baudouin of Flanders. So this guy up here wants independence. This guy here, wait a second. Yeah, this guy here wants a different king to be on the throne. And then William the Bastard wants elective succession in France, while he's up here basically fighting for England. So over here you see the people who are backing him. These are people who have joined his faction. And here's the opinion of the King of France. And if they were up here, these would be factions within your duchy, people wanting to do things that maybe you don't want to do. And you'll see them over here, and you'll see some very interesting metrics here that will show you the power of their fighting forces in relation to yours. Well, these are their fighting forces in relation to the King of France. You can see here that these three vassals have the ability, if they want to force it and go to war, they can do it. They have the power to do it. So this number starts to get up about 50% or so, you start to see that there's a danger that they may decide to go for it. We can start a faction. If we want to start a faction, we can say we'd like to have seniority succession in France, not election. We could decide we want to press for Gavelkind succession. This Gavelkind means that in the old style, what they would do is if you had 3 sons, you take your lands and split them up among all 3 sons. Do that a couple of generations and you end up with a map that looks like, well, the north of France, which basically was the problem. Eventually, over time, as the power of law got stronger and the kingship became stronger in France, we ended up with absolute monarchy and so on and so forth, and the consolidation of power. So you'll see it kind of goes like that over time. Or we could say, hey, we want Prince Hughes to be, the king of France. Basically the heir, the current heir. Probably this guy, probably the actual king's brother, or a pretender to the throne of France. Okay, so I don't want any of those, so I'm back out of that. Lastly, you've got religion. So this is your church. We're Catholics. The Duke of Aquitaine's a Catholic. Pope is Alexander. The Pope doesn't like me. The reason why? I'm cynical. I've got 4 of the 7 deadly sins. Gluttonous, slothful, deceitful, cynical. I'm just a bad dude. So, you don't like me. If there are anti-popes, that is, pretenders to being the vicar of Christ on earth, they'll be here. And then this shows the moral authority of the church. Generally, this goes from 0 to 100. Right now, the church is not in good shape. It's at about 50% moral authority. I'm going to click down here on this thing and show you the other religions. Oh, never mind. It's okay. It's doing as good as everybody else. So it starts all the religions off on even ground, and then after things will change. So this is handy for that, and then you can see that you've got a roll-up of all of our bishops, what they think about us, what they think about the current pope, and there you go. Now I can nominate the next Prince Bishop. There's nobody who likes me more than this guy, so I don't care to participate. This one, same deal. So, yeah, not so good. Yeah, not so good. So, same guys. I've never used this function. It's not something that I've ever used, so you might give it a try and see what you get. There's the reason why that's an option is because when you go to the laws of France, you can see that the crown authority is autonomous vassals. Basically, me as the Duke of Aquitaine, I can fight another duke, and the king can't do anything about it. So, and then as far as investiture of bishops, who does it in France, I get to pick. Well, the Pope doesn't like that. I can't change it. I'm not the king. I'm just underneath it. But it's not me that takes the hit. It's the king that takes the hit from the Pope. So, as you see, go to the religion here. It's not listed as a reason why he doesn't like me. So, anyway. And those are those 5 tabs. Again, pretty exhaustive explanation there, but it's important to understand the controls in this game here. Over here, this is the area where announcements will pop up, and these will be cues for action. So basically, because of the lands that I own, I could create 2 titles. I could create the Duchy of Auvergne. I could create a political boundary within which there are 2 counties, Auvergne and Bourbon. So I'm coming down here to show you where that's at. So these 2 counties belong to, I'm going to click over here, I showed you the de jure thing again. As I scroll out a bit, scroll out here. Okay, there you go, actually. I could create Bourbon, and I could create Auvergne. So if I wanted to create them, I could. And then what would happen is we would have a situation where if I created the Duchy of Auvergne, this character, the character who rules Auvergne, Count Robert of Auvergne, would have a right to attack the Duke of Toulouse to obtain control of this county. Because he would be my vassal, this would become a part of Aquitaine. That's kind of how, if you think about, just think about that and what that means, and sort of expand it into your understanding of how you make claims. You basically develop a reason, a right to fight. Well, that's how it works, and that's how you slowly begin to expand your holdings through your vassals and through the claims of your vassals. It's one way to do it. So anyway, I could create those two titles. Let's see what that would involve. So to create it, I would have to have some money. Currently, we control both of the counties in there. I'm sorry, all three of the counties for Bourbon. So right here, this one. And it would give me 200 prestige and cost, like I said, 198 gold. Don't have the gold, can't do it. I'm just going to leave it set up there. And then if you click it again, it'll give you the other one. So right now, like I said with Auvergne, we need to have both, or we need to have one. It says we need to control 50%. Currently we control 50%. So then, but that would then give us the right to go to war for that. Okay, so we'll close that out, and then I'm going to press this one. It says you can press de jure ducal claims. This shows your, this is I guess supposed to show your land, and then this shows a land that you can go press up into. That's sort of the graphic for that. So when you do that, it'll outline the area that you can fight for. And if you press it again, you can do it again. So it says Foix for Duke Guillaume VIII of Aquitaine. That's me. Reason why is because it is part of Gascogne. And I am the Duke of Gascogne. So in the same way that this guy would get the ability to press a claim if I made that duchy, we have a claim on this county inside of, come on, inside of Toulouse. So you can see that this is the boundary for the Duchy of Toulouse, but the color continues on because we've selected the de jure duchies filter to look at the terrain and the political boundaries. Okay, so continuing on. I think by now you sort of understand this. These are just money, prestige, piety, your domain size, and how big it can be. So right now we have 3 of 3. This is this shows the realm size. So I don't use this a lot, but it basically breaks it down, all of your vassals and how big their areas are. So you've got, for example, Prince Bishop Guillaume of Agen. He's got 1 county and he's got 3 vassals underneath him. Adalbert of Perigord, 1 county, 3 vassals underneath him. We have 3 counties, and underneath us we have 50 vassals. So if you were to add up all the numbers there, I'm not going to do it, but I'm guessing they'd add up to 50. Oh, sorry there. And then this is the score, 0 for now. It'll get larger later after we play. So this shows, basically this is sort of your news scroller here. You can take a look at, the messages. So these are when we gave people. We can go back and we can take a look and we can kind of see what went on. Same here. These are minor messages and these are sort of major messages. So over here, got a little bit of information. We can see the money that we're getting every year. sort of the fortification level, and how many troops. So remember those numbers, 205. Those are the ones, those three groups of guys we raised up by pressing that button. 205, 205, and 205. So you can see, there you go. This army is currently under the command of Martin de Castillon and is standing in Poitiers. Very cool. Back home, guys. Okay, and then down here to the bottom. So these are basically your palette of filters. So let's go through each of them. I'm just going to click the button and you can sort of see what it is while I'm talking about it. Terrain. It shows you trees, hills, mountains, and so on. Independent realms. So these are realms that can basically, they're unified political entities. Diplomatic relations. Green is good. Yellow is worrisome. Black is sort of like don't know, and red would be bad. Brown or red would be bad. Religions. Wow, Catholicism is pretty big. Take a look down in Iberia. You can see that the Reconquista is under progress, but not yet in an advanced stage. As a matter of fact, there's actually active warring going on between the kingdoms of Castile, Galicia, Leon, Navarre, and Aragon against the Muslims. Cultures, okay, as I said before, you can pay attention to that to kind of see how things are trending. You can see that some areas are in a state of change from one culture to another. Economy. Okay, pretty good money-making areas here in Italy. Not a lot of them. Okay, right near Constantinople, looking good. Pretty good economy going over here in Baghdad and the like. Some backwaters down here on the Horn of Africa. Alexandria, north of Egypt, doing pretty good. Over here in the Maghreb, looking pretty good. And southern Spain, pretty good, economy-wise. Not so hot here. Okay, we've already looked at de jure duchies. De jure kingdoms. Okay, so these are the old kingdoms back in the day. When Charlemagne was the emperor, and during his time, he had 3 sons. And under the type of succession that they used back in those times, they split up into France. His oldest son got France, one son got Aquitaine, and the other son got Lotharingia. And Lotharingia ended up becoming Germany, and Aquitaine ended up being subsumed back into France over time. So these are, it's useful to understand from the standpoint of a future expansion. So if I wanted to become king, it would be sort of natural, since I'm the Duke of Aquitaine, that I would try and possibly become the King of Aquitaine. There's no current King of Aquitaine. There's a King of France, but there's no current King of Aquitaine. It's all underneath France right now. But these divisions are useful to, in terms of to plan your expansion. De jure empires. Now, if you get a lot of territory, 80% of this territory, all this territory, you can stand up the empire of Francia. That'd be basically greater France. All of Brittany, all of France, all of Flanders up here, Aquitaine and Burgundy. You get that much, that much territory, you can basically say, hey, we want to be the Empire of Francia. You probably will notice that when I click Independent Realms again, the Holy Roman Empire is bigger than the sort of the de jure. Well, yeah, it's big, and it's gone beyond its sort of deal there. Revolt risk. You can use this to quickly look and see whether might be a problem or a danger of revolt. Revolt can be caused by bad tax policy. It can be caused by heresy. Okay, this is dynasties. The Capet family basically runs all of France. You can use this to sort of understand where people are. I don't use it a lot. Opinions. So you can see that these people are okay. These are your lands. Got some problems over here in these areas. Brown trending towards red. So direct vassals. So, direct vassals, basically, let me scroll on a little bit, shows, basically, will show who reports to who. So, in direct vassals, this is probably one of the best ones to show actual who Aquitaine is. That's our area. You can disband your troops anywhere in this area, and you'll be fine. They won't have the problem of disbanding. So, Republic trade zones. I don't know a lot about republics, but this is the trade zones that they have, and I assume that the republics compete among themselves to set up trade ports in coastal cities and set up trade zones and family trade zones. I don't know about that. So, you can bring down one of these to make a quick button here. So if you want to set up, if economies for whatever reason is really interesting to you, then you can have that. I leave it on the defaults. So down here, you've got the message log, which will show the event log. So if you're like, whoa, 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 what happened? And you need to scroll up. You can scroll up here and you can see, oh, okay, yeah. Ah, okay, yeah, got it. Close it up. You got the main menu, so you can choose, what you want to do. You can save, quick save game, manage your options, and so on. Close that up. The ledger. Okay, so this is basically the gazette of information. A lot of spreadsheets in here showing you things. When you get your domain, you obviously you can see that Bordeaux brings you a little more money than Santes or Poitiers, and the fortification level of your castles, and how much guys, and so on and so forth. Realm levies, you can hit this and tab it up by however you want to do it. Who's giving me heavy cavalry, who's giving me heavy infantry, okay, these guys, and you can do that. Figure out the religions like I showed you before. The characters. So you want to know who's got the most gold in Europe? Duke William has got the most gold in Europe right now. He's going to go up in England and try and use it. Who's the most prestigious? King Harold Hardrade, also cruising around up there in England fighting. Who's the most pious in Europe? Oh, he's a Sunni, but he's pretty pious within the Sunni faith. The most pious Catholic is Pope Alexander, and he's only got 56. Well, that's the beginning of the game. So, and you can see how big their personal domain is. 8. We've got 3. This guy's got his shit in one sock. And then his realm size. He has a big realm. Let's wow, that's crazy. Look at direct vassals or independent. Oh yeah, right here. He's got himself a nice big fat territory right there. Your dynasty. So these are all the members of your family who are alive right now. Also very handy. You can find out whether any of them are heretics and mess them up. Your direct vassals. So, very handy way to look at them very quickly. See their opinion of you, their religion, and so on. All the vassals in the realm. So if you're looking for, I don't know, if you've just got an urge to know who's Frankish, you can sort that out. And so you see we got some Franks, mostly Occitans, some Franks, and everybody's Catholic. So you're looking to stamp out heresy and things like that. They're very handy to look at things like that. Court, independent states, all the wars that are going on right now. Wow, Europe's not a very peaceful place. Got a lot of wars going on. You can see the war score. That is how far it's progressed. So possible inheritances. Oh, so these people here are set up in a way that, oh, he's got no kids. You're the heir. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to Count Centaur, like an assassination, if you had the money to do it, or if you're willing to take the hit, everybody hating you, him certainly hating you, and the possibility of war, you could attempt to, but you can't right now because you've got to have more piety or more prestige. So but handy if you want to take a look here and see that. Okay, that's it for that. Okay, going to the home province. Let's scroll in here. There you go. So it'll take you back to your capital province there. You can find a title. Say you got a message from somebody and you're like trying to figure out, well, where is that? You can type in the name there. For example, Mangy Schlack. Where's that? Well, it's over there. Where is that? Whoa, that's all the way on the other side of the Caspian Sea. And then you can also find characters. This is extremely useful because you can basically look at everybody in Europe and you can sort them out by religion, by who's the best diplomat in all of Europe. Niphon, mayor of Germanius. He's Greek. He's an Orthodox. He's a gray eminence, ambitious, trusting, you know, masterful diplomat. It's okay. Not real good in a lot of other things. But you can go through and you can find, you know, the best characters and understand who they are and where they're at and what they're doing by using this. You can sort out by a lot of different ways. Say you're looking for a wife. Probably not looking for anybody in prison. Ruler, yeah, either. You got any. Yes or no. Could be a ruler or not a ruler. Let's keep it to my religion. And let's keep it to my culture. And let's go with adult. You can have it be either because you can, of course, it is the Middle Ages. You can be 47 years old and get yourself betrothed to a nice 7-year-old, just like they did. Okay, let's leave it like that. So there. So now you see that, you know, we've got it basically sorted out. Then once you're in there, you can go, well, I'm looking for somebody right about minimum marrying age, you know, so 16 is the earliest you can marry. Before that, you're betrothed. You go like, wow, let's see. Wow, this is, you know, but you see here what their opinion of you is too. That doesn't really matter a whole lot, but what does matter is when you want to do something like try to invite them to your court. If you come in here and you're like, wow, you know, Adelaide's got some good traits, you know, or, you know, she's a brilliant strategist. She'd be a really good tutor because, you know, they pass along their skills to the people that they're teaching. So you can bring in people who are good at your court and try and get them to teach your children or other people's children. Sometimes the culture will transfer to them, so you can be careful about other cultures, but you can definitely use that. So invite to court. She says no. She says no. I don't like you. I don't like Count Adalbert either. But I've got no reason to move, and basically no reason to go. So sometimes what you can do though is you can arrange a marriage to somebody in your court, and they'll come. So you can figure that out. Just try and arrange a marriage and see whether they'll come over. So there you go. Characters. Very good. You can zoom in. You can also use your mouse wheel. You know, don't really need to use that, but it's there if you need to have a control for that. And you can lock or unlock or toggle. So, all right. There it is. So there's your control features for Crusader Kings 2. Next video I'm going to do is going to be, we're going to take a look at conduct of play. We'll play for a couple months, and I'll show you a couple years, and we'll show you how that goes. All right, thanks a lot.